the dough and then we're going to leave the dough to prove. So I think personally, to make the best pizza dough, if you make it the night before and leave it in the fridge to prove overnight, it proves really slowly and it makes the most delicious dough. But if you haven't got time, this also works fantastically as well. Okay, so first things first, you're going to need some scales, and in your small bowl you're going to weigh your flour. Don't forget to make sure it's 0 before you start. So this will make 3 really big pizzas, or probably about 6 medium-sized pieces. So you can half the recipe. I usually half the recipe, but today I'm going to make the full recipe and I'm going to freeze some as well so it's easier to have in the future. So you'll need 500 grams. You can mix, sometimes I mix brown flour and white flour, do 50-50, but it just makes it a bit denser. So you want 500 grams of strong flour. You can also make pizza with plain flour or self-raising flour as well if you've got it at home. 500 grams, I'm going to put that into my big bowl, like that. And then I'm just going to spread it out. And then into your flour, you're going to add your yeast. So I use fast action yeast, and you're going to add a whole sachet. If you were using fresh yeast, use double the amount. So you use 15 grams of fresh yeast or 7 grams of fast active yeast. And I'm just going to pop it into my flour and I'm going to give it a mix to combine it. The key thing here with your yeast is you don't want your salt going onto your yeast straight away. If you put your salt onto your yeast, it will deactivate your yeast, it will kill it. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. So you want a level teaspoon. It's a lot of salt, like that. So you want a level teaspoon. Put your salt in. So we've used strong white bread flour, salt, and dry active yeast. So this is your dry active yeast as well. So this is the fast action one. And then we're going to add some olive oil as well and some water. So with your water, put your flour back onto your scales. Make sure it's 0. And then you want to weigh your water. Don't do it in a measuring jug and measure it, because it won't be as accurate, and you want it really accurate. And you want 320 mils. And this has got to be warm, like a nice tepid bath. You don't want it boiling because it will kill the yeast, and you also don't want it to be cold because it won't activate the yeast. I think of yeast as like cute little creatures that need some warmth to get them to going. Okay, so I've got 320 mils of warm water in there. And then I'm also going to add some olive oil. So this makes your dough like even more delicious. If you don't want to add oil, just add an extra 50 mils of water. Delicious. So in here, I've got my strong flour, I've got my yeast, I've got my olive oil, my salt, and I'm just going to give it a good mix first. You want to combine it before you want to knead it. So give it a good mix round. Now it'll be quite a wet dough, but that is a good dough for making like pizza and bread. So once it's kind of come together, this is the messy bit. So make sure get it all out on your table. If you have a KitchenAid or a machine that will mix it for you, go for that. It'll make your life a lot easier. Get it out on the table, soak your bowl because you're going to reuse that to prove. If you don't soak your bowl, it will take forever to clean. Okay, so once you put it on the table, you're going to knead it. This is going to take you about 10 minutes. I like to think of it as a workout. So you're going to stretch and pull it. It's quite a wet dough. You shouldn't have to put any flour on your table, really. If it is really sticky, put a bit on. And you're going to use the palm of your hand to push it. So people do it different ways. Some people pull it and bend it back. I got taught by my grandma to knead it like this. So you're rolling it and putting your palm into it. So roll it out and put it in. And you're going to do this for 10 minutes until it's nice and smooth. Okay, so once you've got a lovely smooth dough, nice and glossy and smooth and round, put it back into your clean bowl and you're just gonna, this will rise lovely, and you're gonna cover it with a tea towel or a loose piece of cling film. And then you're gonna put it in a warm area to prove. So you want to do this for like a minimum of an hour, really. So next is your tomato sauce for your pizza. So you can use the tubes for the pizza, the paste, or you can make your own, or you can buy pizza sauce as well. I make it just because it's a bit cheaper to make your own and it tastes really good. So all you need is a saucepan, a spoon or a spatula, a knife, a chopping board, and then I use a tin of chopped tomatoes. You can use plum tomatoes, you can use passata, it's up to you. I use a big fat garlic clove. I use a chili because I like a little bit of kick in mine, but you can obviously take that in or leave it. You can add onion if you want to add chopped onion. I use some mixed herbs, a bit of balsamic, and a teeny bit of olive oil. So with your garlic, get your garlic clove, squish it down, put the sharp end of the knife away, squish it down, chop off your ends. This makes it easier to peel. Like that. And then squash it again. So use the back of your knife. This will get it on the board. You can either then dice it or you can puree it. So here, I've got most of the pressure is from here, just pushing it down. So the sharp bit is pointing away from me, and then I'm squishing it against the board. This will mean that you don't get any lumps. You can blend the sauce as well after you've made it, but if you chop everything down small enough, it should be okay. So you don't get any lumpy. So dice your onion really small, unless you like a lumpy tomato base. So squish it all down, so it looks like that. And then use the back of your knife to get your garlic, pop it into your pan. And then I'm going to do my chili. So for my chili, take off the stalk, slice it in half. And you don't want these seeds because these seeds are quite bitter. So just scrape them out. Make sure they're out of the way. Like that. And then you're going to dice it really small. So into tiny strips first that you can. Like that. And then you're going to dice it really small. As small as you can. Again, unless you like big lumps. You can also put in things like roast tomatoes, roast peppers and blend that. That's really nice if you put a whole pepper in the oven. So chop that down. And then in my saucepan, I'm not even going to pre-cook this. I'm just going to add in my chopped tomatoes. Pop that in. I'm going to add in a teaspoon of mixed herbs. Quite a big teaspoon. I'm going to add in a teaspoon of balsamic vinegar. Again, if you don't want to add this or you haven't got it, don't worry. And I'm going to add in a teaspoon of olive oil. So again, if you want to add a bit of sugar, you can. It will taste a bit more like your ones that you get in the pizza shop because they're usually quite full of sugar. Give it a mix, and then you're just going to pop this on the hob at very low heat, like a 2, and you're going to let it simmer for about half an hour and keep stirring it. Okay, so welcome back. It has been left to rise for a little bit. So here it is. I've let it go for about an hour and a half. And you can see it's rose wonderfully. Okay, so this is perfect and ready to go. So what I'm going to do is just take it away from the edge of the bowl. I'm going to knock it back a bit. Pop it out. I'm going to put a little bit of flour ready on my baking tray to stop it from sticking. Out the way. And then I'm going to put a little bit of flour on my table to stop it from sticking to my table. You only want a little bit. And And then I'm going to split this into 6. Make sure you cover your dough so it doesn't get dried out. And then I'm going to get my rolling pin and I'm going to roll it out. Get a little bit of flour on your rolling pin. You want to aim for a circle. Well, if you're designing a circle, depends what you're designing. It will stretch back, so it takes a little time. You need to work at it. You see, if I leave it, it's springing backwards. So I just want to keep working it out, stretching it out. This is not a very beautiful shape. You can always cut it if you want it perfection. You can use a plate to get your circle. You can then pop it on your tray. Again, you might just need to reshape slightly. And then with your sauce, here you can see this is the sauce that we made earlier.